Hello and welcome into episode 22 of All In with Adam. Today I have a really awesome guest, a guest that I've known for almost about 10 years now. This is my uncle, Eric. Now, he's my legal uncle. It's actually Kelly's uncle, but I've known him, the entire time that I've been with Kelly. And man, I've had some awesome conversations with Eric over the years. So I've always known that he was going to be a guest on this podcast. But for reasons that I'm going to describe, Eric was not a guest I wanted to bring on immediately. The word controversial comes to mind when I think about some of the things that Eric believes and some of the directions that our conversations will often head in. So I wanted to record this brief intro to let you know that there are things in this podcast that, some people might find offensive. Hopefully not the listeners of this podcast. I really don't think that's the type of platform I've created here, one in which people get easily offended. But if you find yourself in that camp, this is probably not the podcast for you. While Eric contains a wealth of knowledge on a huge variety of different topics, be it the military or government philosophy or firearms, there are definitely some things that he believes that I'm not here to necessarily defend or tell you that I agree with. But with that said, the way I perceive an individual like Eric is that if you can't have a good time talking with somebody like this, you just don't like having a good time. To me, Eric has always been deeply engaging, super, super funny, full of some incredible stories, and, you sprinkle a few Alex Jones-esque conspiracy theories on top, and for me, this is always a really, really good kind of conversation to have. So while I think we were able to keep this podcast very much on the rails, there were some moments it went off the rails, but those have been edited out, but this is somewhat of a trigger warning, I suppose, just to let you know that this conversation goes in some wild directions. It's definitely an exploratory conversation, which are my favorite types of conversations to have. But with that said, I just wanted to let you guys know that this is a bit of a wild episode. So if you're easily offended, maybe not the episode for you, or, toughen up a little bit and enjoy an hour-long chat with a pretty awesome guy. So this is our podcast with Eric. Enjoy. Everybody, this is episode, what are you on? You're on 22. That's what episode we're on today.
22, my favorite caliber.
Absolutely, man. And I've got Merchant Marine and my legal uncle now. That's what you are.
Legal uncle.
Yep. This is brother Eric, man. How are you?
I'm great, more or less. Former Merchant Marine.
Former Merchant Marine.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about that whole era of your life? I've heard a bunch of stories, but how do you summarize that nowadays looking back?
The best times of my life.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Why is that?
Absolutely. The adventure and the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved working on ships, especially in the engine room.
Were you exclusively on ships?
Yeah, well, my last 5 years was a drill ship, and it's more like it's a floating oil derrick.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a big drill ship, and big ship with a hole in it.
For bringing oil
and
up,
a
right?
big thing on standing on top of it that screws up stability. That's what a drill ship is.
How dangerous is it?
The oil field was particularly risky.
Right, I always feel like that's in the high risk job category.
Yeah,
working oil.
Yeah, especially deep sea oil drilling.
Man,
you remember the Deepwater Horizon?
Mm-hmm. Big movie.
Yeah, that was just somebody that basically the mud engineer screwed up, and the mud's supposed to keep the oil column at a certain pressure. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, and they didn't calculate the mud right.
Gotcha.
And that's why the well blew, and they had all those problems and everything like that. So,
Man.
Yeah. So just one little mistake.
Sure.
I mean, yeah. But there was incidents out there. Yeah.
How long would you be out at sea at one time? Months, I take it.
Yeah. On the in the Merchant Marine, the Union, my first runs were 4 months on and 4 months off. Some ships were 3 months. Now they're doing 75 on and 75 off.
Days?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say not much.
Yeah. The oil field was 30 days on, 30 days off, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, that was it was hard work though.
Hard for raising a family too, I take it, right?
Well,
because it's all or nothing. You're either not there at all, or you're fucking home for 3 months, right?
Yeah, when I started a family, I left the Merchant Marine.
Oh, did you really? I didn't know what the timeline was on that.
Yeah, and when I met my ex-wife, we. You're gonna have to edit this.
Already. 3 minutes in.
Yeah. Bang. So anyway, yeah, when I met her, I gave it up. I gave up the Merchant Marine, and gave it up for about 10 years, I guess, and then got back in and sailed again for another 15 years, I guess.
Man, I didn't realize there was that big of a gap in there.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah. Got divorced and worked in a metal shop for a while. And
I didn't know that either.
Got burned out on the metal shop and then went back to sea.
Yeah.
I imagine. Nice touch, by the way. I like the little.
Oh, you like the boat? That's actually perfect on your side.
Yeah, right.
Little sailboat behind you.
I didn't know if you'd set that up or not.
No, that's perfect actually.
Yeah.
You know why I got all these needlepoint, like this kind of art, because glass reflects off the cameras. But the needlepoint, when it's sewed in like that, it's just cloth, so the light doesn't shine back at it. But that's why I got all those there. But
I didn't know if you put that there for me or not.
We'll say hell yeah.
Next time, if you ever bring me on again, I'm making assumptions here, but yeah, next time you got to play Woody Guthrie's "The Talking Merchant Marine" for your intro.
Okay, I'll play that.
Yeah, you can do that on this one. Like I said, it's not live, but
man. Yeah. So let me ask you this: I know in all of the different sectors of the military, I don't know if sector is the right word, but you got, SEALs, you've got Air Force, and there's different, I guess, like rumors or myths about each one of those.
Right.
So one I've always heard, Air Force, they treat you the best.
Right.
You're not getting fucked with in the Air Force. They're actually they're kind to you by a military standard, right?
Yeah, my dad has spent 20 years in the Air Force, and it's known as a more cushy.
A little more cushy.
Yeah.
For military, obviously.
Yeah, for the military, but they do have their special units where they do search and rescue for pilots and stuff like that. But they have the Air Force and the Navy, they got the best schools, really. I mean, if you want to go get an education, my dad was in the military police.
Okay.
And he went on to be a fraud investigator and stuff like that. So it was a real good career path.
Yeah. So what is it about Merchant Marines that sets them apart? What's like the thing people need to know? Like, I know Marines are tough as shit. I know that's a general thing. Kind of like SEALs.
Yeah,
they're
badass.
It's harder than normal.
It's very, very tough training. Marines get a lot of respect in the military.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's different about us? We're in it for the money, not the glory.
Not the glory.
Yeah, it's all about the money. The Benjamins.
Sure. Well, just to go sit on a fucking boat for 3-4 months, I imagine money's got to be involved.
There was a sense of pride, when we were doing the Operation Iraqi Freedom, I guess. I was on military contracts and we were running out to the Middle East, and so there was a sense of patriotism and duty and that sort of thing until you realize what a scam it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that kind of feeling goes out the window.
So you spent time in the Middle East?
Yeah, some here and there.
What's your let me get the general takeaway on what's happening in Afghanistan right now. You and I haven't talked about this at all.
Not at all. You really want to know?
Sure. Lay it on me.
Yeah, I think the Chi-Coms told Joe, get the hell out of Afghanistan.
Okay, so you think it's in obedience to a Chi-Com thing?
Oh, yeah. They want the rare earth minerals, and they want their endless wars, too. That's why they're all armed up now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, chaos breeds opportunity, so it's not a shocking premise, that whole thing. Yeah.
You've read 1984.
Yeah.
It's endless wars, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all that. And now they got, the Taliban has one of the best armed armies around.
Did you see the fucking list of the gear that they got?
It's unconscionable, man.
And I'll tell you what, I don't. This is. We're already dancing on conspiracy territory. I don't know at all.
No, this was not there's no bungling. This is a plan, man. These people are not this incompetent. Joe's not in charge.
Well, here's the thing. If you look at the list of the things that the Taliban got from the U.S. military, just a list of gear. Yeah. I mean, whether it's Apache helicopters or 64 1,000 guns, like just these.
I think it was 640,000, maybe 64. I don't
That's
know.
what I mean.
It was an astronomical
look
amount.
up the list. Anybody listening,
Yeah.
just look up the list of the shit that they got. If half of that amount was sold to them, that would still be a massive military deal.
My
right?
phone's in my car, but I actually sent out a graphic that had all the equipment.
Yeah. I've seen that same graphic.
It was like a military deal for sure.
That's
man.
the thing. It seems like a deal. This is not the kind of thing any group would ever leave behind. Doesn't seem like
and
that.
not only that, they left a bunch of Americans behind.
Sure.
And they even said, I think it was Blinken that said, we'll deal with that in a diplomatic and financial, economic or something like that, but it's basically saying we're going to end up paying ransom. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they're going to. This is going to drag on forever.
I was very off-put by the lack of willingness for people to say, in the Biden administration, to openly say we will do anything and everything to guarantee the safety of Americans getting home. I mean, to have any pushback when people said, can you guarantee that every single American will get home? And they would just dodge the question. To me, that's fucking frightening.
Dude, we've been sold out, and this is the culmination of 30 years of being sold out to the Chi-Coms. You know, I mean, it started. So, you know, Nixon goes there in 72 and opens up dialogue with the Chinese and everything. And right after that, our corporations started selling us out. Everything. I mean, as soon as Nixon went over there, made whatever kind of deal they made. Right after that, all of our companies are moving over there, selling us out. They become like industrial, and we become this service sector or whatever they want to call it. You know what I mean? Service economy. You know, servicing the Chinese, I think.
Sure.
You know, and so that happens. And then after they sell us out in the 90s, Bill Clinton sells us out. This is when you start to see all of their technology evolve. Their jet fighters look like ours. Their warships start looking like ours.
Stealing tech is not a thing.
They weren't. Well,
they've been doing that for a very, very,
but
very
I mean,
long time.
it was being sold to them. We were being sold out. You know, you ever heard of Ron Brown?
Ron Brown, no.
That was Bill Clinton's bag man.
Okay.
Yeah, and anybody that's curious, he was going to testify against the Clintons about some stuff.
Was he one of the 50+ people killed on that list?
Much more than 50 now. Yeah, he was one of them.
That's a fun list to deep
died in
dive.
a plane crash with a .45 caliber bullet hole in the back of the head.
What an unlucky dude.
Yeah. and that was like the early days of the internet.
Yeah.
You know, I was working for MCI at the time, MCI Telecommunications. So when all this stuff is going on, I've got a computer on my desk and a real cush job.
Yeah.
So
he had the time and the resources.
I had the time and the resources to start digging into all this stuff, you know, and I'm telling people crazy shit. You know, it was back in the 90s, you know, I'm saying, oh man, this is going on. You know, the airport down there, Mena, Arkansas, you've heard of that stuff where they were running the cocaine and everything.
Absolutely.
And then moving
Government,
the crack out to LA.
funded drug runs.
Bush, Clinton, all, you know, they're all tied in with that stuff. But so I'm getting all this stuff early. And I'm telling people about it. And they're like, this dude's whack.
Yeah. Of course.
And I've been dealing with it for 30 years, and I don't give a shit no more.
I bet, man, yeah.
But now, you know, now here we are with Afghanistan, and you think people ain't waking up? You know? I think a lot of people are looking at this and saying, what the hell?
There's a lot that doesn't make a lot of sense. And you know what's a shame is I agree with the big picture goal of pulling out of wars. In general, yes.
Never should have been there.
In general, that's the thing. Never should have been there. Yeah. That doesn't mean that there's not a right and a wrong way to leave.
And actually, let me say this. When we first went into Afghanistan, I supported it because I believed in 9/11 and the lies that were told about 9/11. So I was like, yeah, let's go.
It was a counterterrorism effort to go in.
Yeah, let's go get this bin Laden and all this stuff, you know? And but then we went into Iraq. You know, and I was like, well, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? And, you know, I supported Bush at the time. But then in 2010, I was on an oil ship, oil rig, or whatever. And a guy from Canada, He was the electronics officer. I respected this guy a lot. Really, really smart guy, man. And we were talking about 9/11, and he says to me, he was telling me about, oh, they did this and that. And I'm like, no way, man. And he said, how many buildings came down in New York on 9/11? I said, 2, the Twin Towers. He said, you ever heard of Building 7? I said, what? Building 7? He said, there was a third building. So, oh, okay. And I went home. He told me, he said, just check it out when you get home. You know? And I went home a week later, whatever it was. Yeah, I'm like, okay, get on YouTube, because back then you could still see stuff like that on YouTube.
Find some weird shit on YouTube.
Yeah. And, dude, that whole 30 days or whatever I was home, man, that's all I did.
Went down it, yeah.
Was Building 7 and 9/11.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. It's one of the most clear-cut examples of, you know, it's hard to say precisely what happened in every detail of the entire tragedy that was 9/11. Very tough to pin down exactly what happened in every facet.
Architects and engineers for 9/11 truth. They'll have most of your answers, folks.
Well, what I'm saying, for anybody that has never even entertained that there's a conspiracy there that's worth your time looking into, you know, it is worth your time looking into. You don't have to dig very deep before there's some
let me
really
ask you this.
peculiar questions.
Is your children's future worth your time?
Of course.
Then it's worth looking into.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because this is how we got where we are now. Because people not looking into anything, not caring.
Sure.
You know.
Or just buying the mainstream narrative. I mean, that was much more common 20 years ago than it is now.
Whatever, they're spoon-fed. But, yeah, now we have alternative media, man.
Well, that's one of the silver linings of the internet,
yes,
man.
It is.
It's quite easy to find alternative opinions.
It's been a curse and a blessing, man, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I wish I could go back to sleep sometimes, but too late now, man.
So I wanted to tell you about, this is one weird thing. You mentioned, you know, Chi-Coms, and what do you mean by, that's a slang term. What you mean is the communist government of China, right?
The Chinese communists, yeah.
Sure.
The CCP. I'm not talking about the Chinese people.
Of course, it's not about the people.
I love the Chinese people. I've been to China, man. I love it. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
And obviously, yeah, of course, it's important to differentiate. A criticism of the Chinese government is very different than a criticism of the people of China.
They've enslaved their people just like they're doing in Australia now, and like they're doing in Canada, and like they're going to try here.
This is sort of in my wheelhouse, but one of the things that sort of set off my alarms to this idea that the Chinese philosophy of government, how they believe the world should be run, is completely opposed to Western philosophy. This was something that woke me up to this. I had a buddy who was a professional drummer, and he wrote some albums and shit, and he went over there to play, they call it a clinic tour, but he's basically, you know, teaching and big groups of people, thousands of people. So he's going to music colleges and big music corporations and stores, put on these big events, and he had a whole little tour through China set up. And at every one of these events, he would show up, and at the front, just like at a big concert, they got a little merch table. But they would have his CDs and T-shirts and stickers and all this shit. But he didn't authorize any of that. And he would say, well, that's my logo, and that's my CD, but these aren't my T-shirts, and these aren't my CDs. Like, where did these come from? Because this is my shit. And, like, are you paying me? Because you didn't even ask, right, to sell this stuff. And they had no concept that anything fucked up had happened at all. Yeah. That was foreign to them. They would say, what's the problem? He said, the problem is you took my shit and put it on a T-shirt, and now you're making money off of it. And they said, yeah, that's what we're doing. Yeah. And he said, and when do I get paid?
How do you think Louis Vuitton feels?
Right? Exactly. And so here's where this gets interesting. You know, for me, I realize that on a cultural level, they do not look at individual property rights how we do. It's complete from the top down. That's not how they look at things at all. So that alone that's a weird conflict in itself. But then I start to look at the app TikTok, which I know you know about TikTok, right?
Yeah. And I don't watch it, though.
I'm not on TikTok. I don't fucking use it. It's too young for me. I'm too old for TikTok, is what I should say.
Yeah, people do, they do, but I don't really do social media.
So here's something people don't know about TikTok. One of the things that's built into that whole platform that makes it different from all the others is that it incentivizes people to take content that doesn't belong to them. So I make a video and put it up. It incentivizes someone to take my content and use it to make new content. right? So
how does YouTube stop that?
Well, YouTube plays a different game altogether. You can definitely
because they can stop it, right?
Well, you can get in trouble for using shit that doesn't belong to you on YouTube, copyright programs, all that stuff in there. It's complicated, but they don't allow that to happen.
Let me ask you this then. So, like anything you put out there, like people just don't go and copyright anything and everything they do.
Correct.
So,
and there's fair use law. You are allowed to use news stations are allowed to use clips if they're certain. Yeah, it's complicated, but YouTube does try and actually protect, the property rights of your content. If you file an appeal on a video and say, "Hey, this is my thing," sometimes you can win those and get them back.
So I think somebody that has something they want to protect probably shouldn't put it on TikTok.
Correct.
Right.
Now here's the weird thing: from TikTok is a Chinese app, and from the core of that app and its design, it is communist. It is everything belongs to everyone. You don't own anything. You put something up here, someone's going to use it, rip the audio out, rip the video out, cut a clip, repurpose it, put this up now, and then that gets borrowed from someone else. It's like the philosophy of sharing is built into the core of that whole app. You can smell the Chinese spirit in that. And as a musician, I don't like that at all. Like, I don't like the thought that whatever you put up here belongs to the community. Like, I've got too much American in me where I'm like, fuck you, that's mine. Don't use my content to make make your own shit and leave me alone. TikTok is basically a platform where it incentivizes people to be less creative and to borrow shit from other people because it doesn't matter.
See, this is something that you would pick up on that I never would.
Mark over there?
No, I think it's over there. Shit, no, it's over there.
We lost Savak.
It's over there.
You go ahead. I'm going to grab it.
Okay. So, where was I now?
Well, you said I would pick up on something like...
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. So this is something that you would pick up on, this kind of shenanigans
it's in the tech world,
intellectual rights and stuff like that kind of thing. I never would have thought about TikTok in those terms. Mm-hmm. I just... I wish people wouldn't even do it. You know what I mean? For one, because
it's a young platform. It's young kids.
It's young.
A lot of young kids.
I know somebody who's got a granddaughter that's on this TikTok.
Did I meet that granddaughter? Was everybody?
Yes, you did.
I met this young woman.
Yeah. We won't throw any names, but so she's actually a smart girl, man, like can do calculus and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But when you meet her, she's just been like so socially degraded or whatever, and the stuff she does on TikTok, it's not like sexual or anything like that, but just stupid, man, ridiculous stuff. Some
waste of time,
some violent shit too. You know what I mean? It's like, she's like what is she? 17-year-old girl. And you just look at all this wasted potential. It's like
that's a good way to say it. Wasted potential,
because she's just thinking about TikTok and her next 5-minute TikTok.
Sure, shortens your attention span. It's a lot of quick bullshit.
TikTok. Oh, there goes your life.
TikTok.
You spend all your life TikToking away on fucking TikTok.
What a fucking motto for TikTok. There goes your life.
TikTok your life away, bitches.
Man. Yeah, it's I've noticed the general attention span of people who watch my videos on YouTube. That's changed a lot.
It's gone from 5 minutes to 2.
Well, yeah, or even I mean, there's still podcasting, which is super long format. That's nice. But there's a lot of videos I used to make that were, let's say, more intellectual,
right?
Like a 10 or a 20-minute drum lesson, real complicated. We're getting in the weeds here, super, and there's some philosophy and some different concepts you need to grab. It's a hard video to watch, but that's the kind of videos I used to make. And now, it sure seems that like what people would prefer is stop talking and play drums for 30 seconds. That's enough. And then they just want to watch something cool for 30 seconds and then on to the next thing. It's like good example. Social media hijacks your dopamine reward system, right?
Yeah, I've heard about all that.
It's a lot like Coke is what it
You
does.
start slapping that when you see that like button.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And just like somebody who, let's just say if you and I had never done Coke now. We'd never done it before, but today we did it. We would take a little
Not saying
bump.
I ever have.
So me neither. I never touched it a day in my life, of course. But like, let's just say that you and I were here and we took a little tiny bump.
Yeah,
off
like
this
our first
table.
time.
Our first time. We'll sit
At this age.
At this age,
Yeah.
of course. But we would sit here for 45 minutes or an hour, having the time of our lives, chatting. But you fast forward 10 years into that experiment, we're still doing Coke. We're not hitting one little baby bump and talking for an hour. No, we're boom, 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 boom. The whole thing is centered around our whole conversation, this whole experience. We got a fucking giant plate with 40 lines all lined up, and we're going every 5 minutes. We're bumping this thing.
Well, like I always used to say, let's do it all, man.
Let's do it all. Let's just do it all. Yeah.
Just fucking do it all. It would be done with this shit and get back to reality.
But that exactly. I know that feeling too. Just get this shit over with.
I've known people. Maybe I should. My buddy, the Max man. This guy, he maintenance bumps, or used to anyway.
Maintenance bumps.
Maintenance bumps.
I like that word.
Yeah. And it used to annoy the shit out of me though, because we had a business to run.
Yeah.
And coffee time, do one or two or whatever. But I'm like, dude, why don't we just do like once a month
and go hard?
Yeah, and bring a bunch of chicks around, and
yeah. So you're probably like me in this regard. One of the reasons I can't ever keep Coke around ever, I'd never keep it around me ever, is because if it's here, I feel like I have to make a decision every day. Are we doing it or not?
Every day?
If it's here, it's just
how
like,
about every hour?
right. That's the thing. My mind wants to know.
Should I do another one or
what's
not?
the plan with the Coke? What's the
fuck
plan?
it.
Yeah. And if it's here, 9 times out of 10, you'd be like, well, yeah, let's go ahead and do it, right? It's like a race to get it over with in some ways. Isn't that weird?
But with me, I never really felt like I needed to re-up, though.
You never felt the fiend from Coke?
No. I just wanted to do the shit, have a great fucking time.
Of course.
And then get back to work, man.
Yeah.
And let's save our dollars and whatever, and fuck, let's have a better one next month. Sure. Yeah, well, I fucking just I maintenance weed.
Sure.
I've been doing that for all my life.
Yeah.
But
how long? When did you start? When did you start smoking weed?
14.
14. Man, that's young. That's about how old I was. 13, 14.
Yeah, my buddy Joe Larson. he turned me on.
Where did you smoke the first time? Remember where you were?
We climbed a fucking tree.
Climbed a tree.
Yeah, I rode my bike 10 miles. Because he moved. He had lived out in Montbello. I was still on Lowry Air Force Base, but he moved out there to Montbello. And he was like, I got some weed. And I was like, really? And I said, fuck it. I rode my bike. Yep. And then we met at this one place. There's a canal, some trees and shit like that.
Yeah.
And we climbed the tree first. And sat up there in the branches, smoked this fucking weed, and we were laughing our asses off. And I think we jumped when we got down. We weren't that high up,
Yeah. That's not too far off from my first story. Yeah, I was behind a Food Lion grocery store, but in the woods behind a Food Lion. Sat on a log out in the trees. Yep. Smoked a shitty blunt of some horrible swamp weed. Is what it was.
The first time I smoked a cigarette, I was 9.
9.
9 years old.
Who gives a 9-year-old a cigarette?
Nobody I know. But I stole my mom.
Oh, you stole a mom's cigarette?
Yeah, because she smoked back then.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely stole a cigarette. I had a stepmom. I stole a cigarette from her once. But I had smoked cigarettes from friends. You always got the older friend where you're 14 and he's 17. You think they're cool as shit and they'll give you a cigarette. That was how I always got my early cigarettes. But when I worked at Outback, the restaurant industry, everybody in the restaurant industry smoked cigarettes. It was just, there's no way you're going to work at a restaurant as a teenager and not smoke.
Everybody I knew.
Everybody.
Yeah. I worked a restaurant when I was 16, one of my first jobs. Everybody smoked.
Yeah. How did you smoke cigarettes for a while? You dipped too.
Yeah. I was, so I did my first cigarette when I was 9, and I quit when I was 10, and then started dipping when I was
dipping.
I started smoking again when I was 15.
Okay.
And that's when I was living on my own, actually. And then and then started dipping when I was 19 because I was joining the Army.
Yeah, that was a cool Army thing to do.
I wanted to quit. Well, I just didn't, the cardio.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought it'd be better to
I probably
dip.
would be for cardio. Yeah.
So I thought it'd be better to dip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
we know how that turned out.
Well, I was saying I don't mean to rush your story here, but you got cancer from that,
yeah,
right?
That's okay. We can talk.
And
about
was that from dip specifically?
Oh, it may have been. To be perfectly honest with you, this is like some people might consider this embarrassing or something like that, but it's actually anybody that does any research when they've had something like this, this strain of cancer could actually be caused by some form of HPV, the human papillomavirus.
Interesting, which is an STD, but isn't it weirdly common?
Yes, like everybody has
almost
it.
Everybody carries it.
Yeah, because there's like 75 different types of this.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and what I've heard is basically if you've ever had sex with anyone, there's a chance you've got some kind of HPV. But this particular one, and they have associated. So I don't know. Was it the dip? I probably.
Mm-hmm. What was your cancer called?
Squamous cell carcinoma.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was in your throat, right?
Yeah. It was weird because when the doctor called me, I got a biopsy, and he calls and he says, "Oh, you got squamous cell carcinoma." I was like, "Oh, cool. I don't have cancer." And he says, "No, that is cancer."
I didn't hear the word cancer, so
yeah, squamous cell carcinoma.
Man,
squamous.
And I know you had radiation from that, right? Radiation therapy.
Radiation, chemo. I was bombarded, man. I got 34 doses of radiation. The most they can give you.
Really? So that's like max dose.
It was stage 4. Yeah, it was a 6-centimeter tumor in my neck.
Yeah.
Yeah. It started in the tonsils, got into the lymph system, and fortunately, it was early 4A, because it didn't go elsewhere in the body. It was getting ready to. It was a 6-centimeter tumor. It was getting ready to pop, probably, you know what I mean, and just start going everywhere.
Yeah.
And that probably would have been it, but caught it just in time.
Yeah. Now I know you married a Thai woman, Noak, and I've heard Kelly mention this probably more than you have, but that Noak gets a bit of credit, for helping you recover.
More than a bit.
More than a bit. So tell me about that. What did your wife do?
And I got to say, not only Noak, but my dad and his wife Mo, my stepmom.
Yeah, I know Mo.
But
remember
the
when
three
Mo had too many brownies? Separate story.
So the three of them together, I have to give all the credit.
Okay, tell me about that. Yeah, I'm interested.
Anybody that's going through cancer out there, and there's plenty of you, if you're blessed to have a support system. But with Noak in particular was my nutrition.
Okay.
You have to keep your nutrition up. Mm-hmm. They were towards the end. I started losing weight, and they were talking about putting a feeding tube in me. And I was like, no, I don't want any feeding tube.
Were you having trouble eating?
It's tough, yeah, man.
Yeah.
But she made some stuff called Joe, and it's just stuff in a blender, really a lot of. But it's she'll fry up little bits of pork and put some sauce kind of stuff and put it in a blender, and it's like runny oatmeal.
Okay.
In a way, but
easy to eat, easy to swallow.
Yeah. I mean, when your throat's getting all hammered and everything, but you just swallow this stuff, drink it. It's kind of like eating a thin soup with little bits of oatmeal, but the oatmeal's a lot of protein and
sure.
And I believe that's what kept me alive.
That kept you alive, I bet.
Yeah,
yep.
Absolutely. Otherwise, I would have been doing like everybody else, drinking Ensure.
Yeah. Bunch of chemical bullshit in a fucking carton.
Yeah. Nah, we were getting good stuff from H Mart, vegetables and the meat and everything. She puts a lot of vegetables in there too with the meat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the prayers, I was considered myself a Buddhist back then.
Sure.
And
Buddhism's compatible with all sorts of other religions. It's a great way to look at the world,
It is. It's a very old,
a lot of truth in Buddhism.
Older than Christianity, actually. Mm-hmm. it's hard to understand. You know, it's,
Sure.
But
Are Thais mostly Buddhist? Is that where Note comes from?
Yeah. She's Thailand. Yeah.
Yeah, I know she's from Thailand. Interesting.
Yeah. She's actually Lao, but yeah, but just having some kind of faith in something.
Sure.
You know, like, and acupuncture was interesting too.
You did acupuncture?
Yeah, well, Mo did it for me.
Did she really? I didn't know Mo was into acupuncture.
No, she paid for it. But it wasn't my idea, and I didn't have the money for it.
Well, so what's your takeaway of that whole fucking craft?
It was weird because I would have more energy.
Really?
Yeah, and it wasn't
so like a blood flow thing.
Lasted a long time, but it would like a couple days. You know what I mean? Where I felt energized.
Interesting. I've never heard that one.
Yeah, it was pretty strange.
You think that was a blood flow thing? Like it increases blood? Isn't that the concept of acupuncture? It increases blood flow to a certain area by
I have
waking
no
the nerves
idea.
up. I don't know.
I thought, well, it's a nerve thing. I think, yeah, but. Yeah, man, I don't know. I will say this though: I laid there. It was comfortable, you know, and I'm getting the pins pushed in.
Does it hurt when they put the pins in?
No, dude.
Doesn't hurt?
No,
They're
more
too
near
fine.
tattoos.
Well, yeah, these hurt, but they don't go in that deep either.
Yeah. It's no, it feels kind of good, man. It's you know, I mean, maybe I could see where some people might get a little uncomfortable, but
yeah,
all in all, no, it's not a big deal, And then when she's done, you know, you just kind of lay there for a while, chill out, you take a nap, you know, whatever. And afterwards, it's like, man, feel pretty good.
Interesting.
We go for a walk. You know,
Yeah.
that was real important, going for walks. Anybody out there, go for walks.
Just getting in nature, breathing, getting blood flowing and all that.
And moving, exercising, fighting. That's part of the fight, man.
Sure.
Yeah, just getting up and walking, you know, that's like duking it out with cancer, as far as I'm concerned. You know?
I believe that, man. I tell people all the time, there's this weird, it's like, I call it like cyclical messaging. Yeah. When you go to the gym and you put in some work, whether it's a walk on the treadmill, you know, whatever the fuck you're doing, I don't know. Could be rock climbing, could be going on a hike, could be weightlifting, anything. Right. It's like you're sending a message to your consciousness where you're saying, we're not fucking done here. We got things to do. Yeah. Right? And it's like this messaging system that you put on a loop where you know, because I look at your body like your body might be kind of dumb. It doesn't really know what the fuck is going on. Right. It's just sort of interpreting things from the world. You know, it just interprets whatever's happening. Your body seems to react to that. And so I really like the idea of sending this message to your body that, hey, motherfucker, we're not done here. We got things to do. Get up. Let's go. And your body says, well, okay, if you're asking me to do it, then I guess I'll do it. It keeps your systems online. Okay. And I've heard from tons of men in your age range, right? You know, 50 plus, I've heard them say that one of the keys to feeling good for a really, really long time is to not stop. You can't stop moving. You know, you got to keep the system online, moving and going hard. You know,
even when you're all broke up, it gets tough. But
yeah.
The other thing. Just one more note on that whole with the cancer episode is, you know, I'm sorry. One other, it got to the point where I even had to push myself just to take a shower every night.
That bad?
Yeah. I'm saying this because I know there may be people out there listening that might be dealing with this sort of thing.
Sure.
And if you're going through this and you feel like you want to give up, you're just going to lay there or whatever, start somewhere. That was, for me, is I told myself I at least got to take a shower every damn night. You know what I mean?
That was your standard that you held.
Yeah, that was my stand.
That was the hill I'm going to die on. I'm a fucking shower.
Right. And then after that, I started walking, you know. But you just got to hang in there and fight, that's all.
Was there a moment where you knew you were on the upswing, where you said, maybe I beat this son of a bitch? Did you have that moment?
Oof. That's an interesting question, honestly. I don't know if I've even thought about that.
I imagine it's muddy, right? Because you got good days and bad days, and it's hard to remember. I'm just wondering if there was a moment where something turned and you said, hey, bitch, it looks like I'm going to win this one, right? Did you ever have that point?
No. Now that you ask me, no, I hadn't, because I've always respected cancer.
Sure, you have to, right?
Yeah.
When it's fucking you up, you gotta have show a little respect.
Yeah. It's like it wasn't until probably 5 years, really. Like the doctors told me, and I went along with this, and I still believe it to this day. Like the first 2 years, man, you gotta. And anybody out there, again, the first 2 years, do not drink. I know somebody that had a recurrence, it's brain cancer right now. Mm-hmm. Saw that person this morning, as a matter of fact. Mm-hmm. Do not drink those first 2 years. And then...
you didn't drink at all when you were first diagnosed?
No, I did. Right, soon as they told me, you're good to go. What do you think I did? Yeah, I started drinking.
Yeah.
And thank God, I got in a DUI. I rear-ended somebody. You know, I felt bad for this person. I got to apologize to him later.
It's good, yeah.
Yeah, face to face. It felt good. But, I got a DUI that saved my life, really.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How drunk were you?
Oh.
You pretty far?
0.17.
Ooh, 0.17. Yeah, that's in. You're in.
Yeah. They wanted to really screw me because I was more than 0.15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what 0.08 is the limit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're over double.
Twice. Yeah.
Over twice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting, man. I remember, I've definitely driven drunk before, but it is one of the few. Not recently. It's been 10 plus years at least. But it is one of the few drugs, man, where your mechanics are directly impacted. You know, I understand why that's illegal, man. It's
nobody should be out there driving drunk.
Man, your mechanics just fucking go. Isn't it fascinating?
And if the cops are pulling you over and throwing you in jail, good. Taught me a fucking lesson.
Yeah. It's cool to hear you say you actually learned something from that, right?
Yeah, man.
A lot of people might have a different attitude. But.
No, man, I don't play around with that. You know, like here. You know, we're sitting here drinking and all, but afterwards, when we're done with all this, I'm going to chill out here. I'm going to make sure I'm good to go.
Sure.
You know, before I get on down the road.
Sure.
You know, yeah, man, it's
a hard lesson to learn, but it's an important one.
Yeah.
A really important one.
Yeah, it saved my life, though. You know, and because the sugars, the cancer loves sugars.
Sugar and inflammation, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You know, I've been on this all meat diet for going on 2 years now.
Yeah.
And man, it's not that meat has superpowers. You know, it's good for you. It's healthy food to eat.
You gotta have it, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
I believe that as well.
Yeah.
I believe that going down the vegan or the vegetarian route is a difficult route to go
down.
There's
a balance.
Yes, there's a balance for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to say that meat is some kind of fucking super drug.
No.
But it's the absence of all the refined carbs, all the refined sugars.
Yeah.
To have zero of that,
right.
Man, it's life-changing. It's absolutely fucking life-changing. I started eating 100% meat a year and a half ago.
I don't think I could do it.
For an experiment, for a fucking experiment.
Right.
I just said this would be fun for a month, and that's it, right? And here I am pushing 2 years later, and I can't find a reason to stop eating this way. I feel that good. All my back
What'd you have
pain,
for breakfast? A pound of bacon?
So I do intermittent fasting. I don't eat until much later. I eat around 2, 3, 4 p.m. every day.
I eat around 10. Well, I Note cuts up an apple for me every morning, gives me a banana, stuff like that. At like 5 in the morning when she's going to work.
God, you get up so fucking early.
Oh, I'm up earlier than that now. I make some oatmeal for both of us. She takes it to work.
Okay.
So I got some fruit and some oatmeal in the morning. And then around 10 o'clock, it's when I need a sandwich, some eggs,
you need
whatever.
A little protein.
Yeah, I need some protein. But just meat, though.
Meat. Yeah, man.
Only. Like, so at breakfast, it's bacon, a sausage patty.
Yeah, sausage. But now here's the thing.
Where's that shit coming from, though?
So I do Butcher Box is what I do. You ever heard of Butcher Box?
No.
One of those meat delivery services.
I figured it was a delivery.
All frozen in a box every month, and I get $300 worth of frozen steaks every month. And so in there you've got mostly ribeyes because they're super fatty. I need I do all fat because I have no.
That's good for your brain, though.
Yes, and I do no carbs, no sugar. And when I mean no, I mean
ketosis.
Zero, deep ketosis all the time.
Man, I did that once, but I got so lightheaded. But was ripped, dude.
And that's the thing, you fucking look
was
good.
ripped.
But there's a period of adaptation. It takes a while to get used to it. Some people go on a carnivore diet or a keto diet and they say, man, I was 2 weeks and I felt like shit. Like, yeah, dude, it's gonna take like a month plus until you get those benefits.
Yeah, I was working on the merchant ship when I did this, so I couldn't really fuck around too much.
Sure. Limited options out there, I take it. Yeah.
But I knew this black dude from Norfolk. I wish I could remember his name. God, this dude was a monster, man.
Okay.
And he was a bouncer.
This jacked, fucking huge.
This dude was jacked, and he didn't mind telling you he took steroids and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
you know?
we should talk about steroids.
And but anyway, he's the guy that told me about the ketosis diet, and he says,
and this was a long time ago. You were on a boat.
Yeah, this was.
So he was like an early keto guy, because keto's only been popular about 7-8 years.
No, this was 2000 when I met this guy.
Jesus Christ! To know about keto that long ago is crazy. This guy was down the wormhole then.
Yeah, he's a big black dude, man. But he wasn't really tall. He's kind of short, but wide.
Rhino body.
Yeah, like rhino. And I just like, dude, his thighs were just the biggest friggin' thighs ever. And then he would like go to town. He would wear like 2 pairs of pants, though. He would wear like a sweatpants, underpants to make his thighs even bigger.
You wanted to beef him up?
Yeah, he was just this freak, man. And he did he was a prison guard too, I think.
Wow.
He was a bouncer, prison guard. He's an interesting character. But yeah, this was back in 2000, and he told me, because I was like, dude, I couldn't get over the size of this guy, and he's like steroids and stuff. And I was like, man, I don't think I want to do any steroids. He's like, maybe you ought to try ketosis. I was like, ketosis? I'm like, what's that? And he told me, he said, just no sugar, no carbs, just tuna. I guess what you're doing, really, the boiled eggs. I wouldn't eat carrots, nothing, man. I think that's all I ate was like boiled eggs, tuna, and if they had any kind of meat.
Yeah. It's a fat-based diet. It's all fat.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is you realize that fat on your body is not linked to fat that you eat.
It's the garbage.
It's the trash. It's all those refined factory bullshit.
Shit, the shit that causes diabetes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Is what makes people fat.
Yeah. I mean, right now I'm not like absolutely shredded, but like you can see my abs at the moment, and I eat nothing short of 100 grams of fat a day, maybe 200 on any given day. I'm eating 3-4 ribeyes. I mean 60, 70 ounces of steak.
Eating fucking ribeyes.
So, well, that's the catch.
That's the downside.
For me though, I'm not a foodie. Some people are food nerds where they really love that part of culture and experience and things like that.
That's one reason I married a Thai, man.
I was going to say, I mean, we have fucking excellent food at your house all the time. That's for sure.
I mean, that was a consideration. Major consideration.
Took this into consideration. I mean, shit, your wife is an
it's
excellent
either Thai or Indian.
Yeah.
But those chicks smell a little too much like curry sometimes. Just kidding, all you Indian girls out there. I love you. I love the Indian girls, man.
You got a little spice on it.
Yeah. Oh, they do, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I look at it as like, yes, I did give up. You do give up a whole culinary experience when you go on carnivore, right? There's a bunch of cool shit in the world that you just can't eat anymore. And, there's a lot of cool cultures, cool foods that I can't enjoy. But
you can't even go to Taco Bell.
I can't go to fucking dude. I can't go to like 90% of restaurants. I can't go to, right? It was trash anyway.
Yeah, right.
But it's one of those things. It's like you're making a deal with the world, and that's what people don't understand. Is like, no, I understand. I gave up Thai food. I gave up a whole bunch of awesome different cultures. I gave up pasta and bread and pizza and all this cool shit you can't have. But the deal that I made with the world included all this awesome shit that people don't even know is out there. Like, what about a world with no headaches? None. Ever. What about a world with no back pain? Your back doesn't hurt anymore. Ever. It's just fucking loose all the time. What about a world where your face and your fingers and your elbows and your knees.
Your skin looks great, dude.
That's what I'm saying. It changes your skin. It changes and so much of it's linked to inflammation. You know, when you feel what it's like to have your wedding ring slip on and off your finger because your fingers aren't swollen anymore.
Yeah.
And then you take a fucking bite of bread or a bite of a piece of candy or something like that, and within 10 minutes, I can't get my ring off my finger.
Let me ask you
It makes
this,
you
man.
wonder that kind of inflammation.
Yeah. I was thinking like in my case, but I got nerve damage beyond inflammation.
From radiation, right?
Yeah, so I was thinking, well, maybe, but I don't think it would work for me, man. I don't even think I could do it when Noak's cooking around. No way, man.
Well, that's the problem is you got a wife that's a bomb cook, so that's an uphill battle.
Yeah, but for inflammation, nerve damage, I don't think it would.
Well, nerves are unique in that way, right?
Yeah,
if they're fucked, they're fucked.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they can heal themselves, I heard sometimes.
But they're slow.
It depends on how far gone, I guess, and they're slow. But yeah, I don't know.
What kind of pain do you have?
I can see where that would help with inflammation, though.
Sure, all things inflammation. And inflammation's tricky, too, because Alzheimer's is a disease of inflammation. It's an inflammation of a specific part of the brain, but it's inflammation. And the same way tennis elbow is inflammation.
It's so weird that you said this because I remember reading something a long time ago. Don't quote me on any of this, but it was just like there was some kind of connection in this article between fat and Alzheimer's.
Fat and Alzheimer's, okay.
Yeah, like the fat. Like there was like they were getting too much of the garbage fat and not the good fat.
Gotcha.
And that was causing the Alzheimer's. Like I remember reading something about that, fat and Alzheimer's.
So my grandfather, he died of Alzheimer's maybe 6 months ago. And I wasn't particularly close with him. Yeah. I mean, I knew him my whole life growing up, but wasn't like a devastating loss for me personally. But but it was fascinating going up there and seeing this guy deep into Alzheimer's, 10 years into it.
Oh my!
It's fascinating condition.
Really? Huh?
But there is one weird detail about Alzheimer's that I know that disease is not understood very well. They really don't know. No. They're trying to figure it out, but it's fucking weird. But
maybe they already know.
Well, maybe they already know. Yeah. It's hard to say. But one of the weird things they all have in common,
kind of like things going around. But anyway,
yeah. Well, so all Alzheimer's patients have high levels of aluminum in their blood. Do you know where you get aluminum from? You probably
roll-on
do.
deodorant.
From the fucking roll-on antiperspirant.
I used a Arm & Hammer bacon. I told my son
Absolutely,
and my daughter that, honestly, a long time ago. It's about the roll-on deodorant. I think I told him that 10, 15 years ago.
Yep. I stopped using this shit. Same thing, 10, 15 years ago. I stopped using antiperspirant. Yeah.
Can you imagine? And they still got that stuff all over the shelves.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And it's one of the few things that we actually know about Alzheimer's is people with a fuck ton of aluminum seem to get this.
Let me ask you this, man. Do you think there's somebody making some money off of that, or there's some incentive somehow to put a bunch of aluminum in the friggin' deodorant?
I mean, so here's the thing. It doesn't.
I mean, what the fuck? We know what's up.
Well, it doesn't have to be malicious for it to be true, right? It could be that aluminum in roll-on deodorant, it actually what it functions as, it's the antiperspirant.
But I got to ask you. We just said, you and I both, 15 years ago, we were talking about this.
Yeah, but there's no public message
yet. Are you
yet.
telling me that for 15 years, nobody has decided to say, hey, man, we got a link here. How about we do a study? Let's just like cut off all the aluminum in the friggin' deodorant.
Yeah.
For 10 years.
Yeah. Well, this gets into that. Corporate territory.
They got rid of the stuff in the refrigerant.
Yeah.
I mean,
Teflon problem with cancer and shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got a big hole in the ozone. All right, and they said, it must be the CFCs in the refrigerant. Let's get rid of the CFCs.
Yeah.
Now you got a bunch of people running around with holes in their fucking heads, and it's like, maybe it's the fucking deodorant. Yeah. How about we do a 10-year ban on aluminum in deodorant?
Yeah.
And see what happens.
Well, the catch is, and I mean, this is all fundamental shit that you already know, but a patient cured is a patient lost. right? And this is the weird dark side of capitalism where it meets medicine. Right, is that when you incentivize people with profit, you produce all of these incredible medicines.
Say that one more time, though.
When you incentivize people with profit in the field of medicine.
No, what'd you say that before that though about curing?
A patient cured is a patient lost.
Okay, and you were tying that into the economic system.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
The money,
like there's not a deodorant business. Of course there is.
The money doesn't exist until the debt's been created.
The money. Okay, say that again. The money doesn't exist
until the debt's been created.
Okay, what is the debt in that example?
When you go buy a house, you say you bought a house for $300,000 or whatever. They don't have $300,000 sitting in the vault.
Nobody does. Debt-based economy.
Right. Yeah. So you go there, you apply for the loan, boom. The printing presses put more ones and zeros in the fucking computer. Now there's more money in the system because you just created the money. As a debt slave, you just created the money.
Correct. Well, that's the founding fathers warned about this shit.
That's the system we're in.
Yeah, it's a debt-based economy. Yeah. Yeah.
But, you get that back. So now you got, the banksters creating all these debt slaves and all.
Yeah.
And you got Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Want to create a bunch of jab-dependent slaves.
Jab-dependent. That's a good, what a descriptor. Jab-dependent.
Have you ever heard of antibody-dependent enhancement? ADE?
Antibody-dependent
enhancement.
I have not. I think I'm in that category. I had COVID, recovered. So I think I got the antibodies.
I had it too, yeah, but you're not antibody-dependent. And your dependency has not been enhanced.
Okay.
By the jab.
Gotcha.
That's what it's doing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's creating big problems, man.
Yeah, it's controversial, man. It's a really, really tricky one. I think where I land on this every time, there's a lot of arguments on both sides. There's a ton of angles you can take. Like if you're a fucking lawyer, you can take any angle you want on this. But in my mind, the strongest angle, the strongest argument is the homeopathic one, because I'm the kind of guy where if I got a headache and somebody says, hey, man, I got an Advil, I got an Excedrin, I'm going to not take that because I want to chug 2 bottles of water first. That's what I want to do.
And not only that, it didn't come out of your own bottle. How the hell it might have come out of his dirty pocket. It might be
maybe some dusty ass Advil this guy got.
It might be not
got pocket lint.
I think that's an Advil. No, I don't know.
But you know what I'm saying? Like if there's a homeopathic way to do it, if there's a natural way to solve a problem, I will always pick that way first.
Absolutely.
I will always gravitate in that direction.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's the strongest argument why anybody would not get a vaccine. There's many other arguments, but I don't think that's the strongest one. The strongest one is I prefer the natural route if it's available.
You're using that term kind of loosely.
Homeopathic?
No.
Natural.
No, the other word.
Vaccine?
Yeah, vaccine. You can't be going around mandating. This is against the Nuremberg Code, man.
Well, they certainly.
I mean,
they're obviously struggling to mandate vaccines because it's so fundamentally un-American. It's a really difficult thing to make happen. What they're trying to do is punish people who don't want it.
You see what's going on in Australia,
dude? There are some.
They're dragging kids out of their homes and stuff and.
Arresting teenagers for partying on the beach and shit.
Man.
Yeah.
It's just out of control. And now
it is out of control.
They want to create. And look, I said it from the beginning, and I know it was all conspiracy theory back then, but certificate of vaccination ID.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to.
I mean, that's where it is now.
So
they want QR codes.
So I want to get your opinion on this because I'm going to Spain in a few months.
Really?
And I booked a drum festival out in Spain. And I've got to play the game, right? Like, I'm not used to this. I work from home. I don't have to deal with any of this shit. But now I got to play this game a little bit if I want to play this drum festival. And the way that they do it there's an element of this setup that I actually don't hate. But I want to get your opinion on this. So the way Spain has it set up now, or mainly just Europe, the way it's set up is you got to provide.
They test you.
Well, you have options. You have options. You can get the vaccine and show the Spanish government.
Okay, fuck that one.
Right, that's off the table. I'm not vaccinated, so that's not on the table.
I'm immune though.
Right, so there's the other thing. You
think.
can provide a what do they call it? Certificate of recovery. So you can basically say, I went to a doctor. The doctor said I had COVID, and then I recovered from it, so I got the antibodies. And you can get a piece of paper that says that, and you can give them that. You can also give them an exemption, which if your doctor says, I don't think you should get this vaccine because of reasons A, B, and C.
Good luck finding a doctor though.
Right, that's a much more uncommon one.
But my problem is here too. Also, is this testing. You know.
Well, that's the fourth option you can prevent to Spain is a negative test.
Yeah. I saw a great meme that described this.
Okay.
Imagine a virus so deadly that you got to get tested to know you have it.
That's an awesome perspective.
You know what I mean? Because most of the people running around with this shit
to
are
see
just
if you
fine.
got it or not.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so here's the one.
And by the way, what the hell happened to the flu last year?
To the food?
The flu.
Oh, the flu. Yeah, that just disappeared. We're not talking about the flu. You didn't know?
That,
we're not talking about that.
I think it's going to come back real bad this year, though.
Yeah, it might.
Sorry.
Well, okay, so let me finish this pitch for what the fuck Spain is doing. I want
I'm
to see what
sorry.
you think. No, you're fine. You're fine. So basically, you give us one of these 4 documents. Your a negative COVID test. That's what I'm planning on doing.
Yeah.
You can say that you got vaccinated. You can have an exemption or an antibody, like a certificate of recovery from your doctor. So basically what the Spanish government says is, hey, you give us one of these 4 documents before you come into our country, and we'll give you a QR code. Now, I hate that the QR code exists. The QR code shouldn't fucking exist to begin with. I'm with you.
Dude, it'll be a tattoo before you're fucking dead.
Right, that's the thing. A tattoo or a chip or some shit. I understand that the QR
Why
code...
a chip? The fucking QR. I guess... Well, I mean,
it'll
get old. It'll get old and faded
thing.
like my tattoos and shit. A QR code, you might register somebody else with some other issues.
Exactly. Now, here's the thing. I hate that the QR code exists. I think the premise alone of that is the slipperiest slope you could ever get on. Right. So I hate that it exists. But if I have to scan a QR code, I do like the fact that it does not differentiate between people who are vaccinated, people who are immune, people who are exempt, or people who have just recently tested negative.
Well, this is cool, man.
I like
because,
that.
I like that. And this is great because when you go to Spain and come back, you'll be like one of the first guys in the States that's got a fucking QR code.
Yeah, no kidding, right? I don't want the QR code. I don't want it. But if I have to scan it, I like that they seem to have prioritized this idea that we shouldn't discriminate what a healthy person is. You could be healthy and not at risk of spreading COVID
can I
because
tell
you got
you
a
the best
vaccine,
way to,
or
can,
because you
can
just
I tell you the best
negative,
way to do that?
Okay.
To discriminate the healthy from the unhealthy is give the unhealthy the fucking masks. The ones that are out there, okay, here's your mask.
Sure.
Right? I bought a bunch of shit when Ebola came out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That was probably a smart move.
Fucking suits and stuff. You know, I've got gas masks and shit like that.
I need to get gas masks for my little survival stash.
And I'm taking inventory of the shit when the COVID comes out because I'm thinking, man, this is the bioweapon I've been expecting.
You think it may be, okay, that's a great way to say it. It might be the bioweapon you were expecting,
I thought
right?
this is the one, hey, man, this is the way, this is it. They're fucking us up.
Okay.
You know? But then I realized after a while, I was like, no, man, this is... something else is going on here.
Yeah.
This is one big mind fuck.
Yeah.
You know?
It is a mind fuck.
Yeah. Because they're telling you, oh, no mask, yes mask, 3 masks, no mask, you know, I mean, and then...
The inconsistency is alarming. It is deeply troubling
You're
that
going to have to censor the fuck out of this.
There's a number of things that you just said we're going to have to censor probably, but we can talk about, at the very least, the concept that if somebody has an alternative way to approach COVID. Let's just say a random doctor from the middle of nowhere says, hey, I've got an idea. Maybe we could do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
I'm perpetually interested in those people and what they have to say.
Yeah.
Maybe they're wrong. Maybe they're lying. Maybe they're crazy. Maybe they're full of shit and they have no idea what they're talking about.
But they're not killing people as long as they're not killing people.
Right. And even if...
with their crackpot theories.
Correct. All I'm saying is I'm a fan of the crackpot theories being allowed to be put out there. Let's fucking hear them. Let's hear all of them.
How about the right to try? Wasn't that something that was some kind of legislation that was passed under Trump? Like if you're fucked up in the hospital, you got a right to try some shit?
I mean, fundamentally, I totally agree. It's your life to experiment with. However the fuck you want this adventure to go is up to you. This is a weird fucking problem that I'm running into nowadays. So Kelly and I have had this conversation. I'll tell you where it comes up. I've done steroid cycles before.
Yeah, you told me that.
And so with hormone science, I'm kind of a nerd. I spend a lot of time researching hormone science and trying to understand what it is I'm doing to my body when I go on a steroid cycle, and you
should.
And then and it's fucking complicated.
Do it intelligently if you're gonna do it.
Yeah. Well, so Kelly and I have been trying to have a kid for a few months now, and it's not long enough to think that we have any type of fertility problem necessarily, but it has made me want to research and Google certain things, and so we've gone. She's gone to see her doctor. We've gotten blood work. We're just sort of toying around in this whole world of hormone science, right? And it's interesting because her and I have had these conversations about what a doctor might suggest to us versus what we can go figure out on our own.
Yeah.
Right? And hormone science is such a good example because it's a complicated science. People don't understand this very well. You can go to your general practitioner.
It's not something I ever really looked into.
Right. And you would find if you looked into it that it's incredibly complicated. It's not a simple science. It's levels beyond sciences like nutrition or exercise or, nerves. Name the domain that you want to research. Hormone science is fucking deep, dude.
Right.
It goes super, super deep. And there's a lot of
because
unknowns.
those little fuckers are tiny, right?
They're tiny, and we don't know exactly how they work. It's the gonadotropic system is really, really, really fucking complicated. Yeah. It's your whole reproductive system.
My gonads ain't that complicated. I guess I should cut myself off soon.
Yeah. Well, but it's funny.
This will be the last cocktail I'll have to sober up.
Well, we have these conversations, Kelly and I do, about, to what degree do you trust the doctor's opinion versus trusting your own opinion for doing a tremendous amount of research on your own, and it's made me more hesitant to go see doctors regarding anything with hormones because there's so much that I feel that I know because I've fucking I spent hours and hours and hours reading about this particular topic, and to go in to see some doctor who spent 5 minutes reading about this 10 years ago, and then he's going to say, nope, you should take this and not that, and here's what your hormones are doing. Like, I don't know, bitch. I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong because I trust my own ability to research these things.
You're doing fine with that. You know what I mean? You've done your research. You have to trust your own judgment. You have to trust your own gut instincts. Mm-hmm.
Now, what if that comes in conflict with your doctors? That's what I'm talking about, right?
Well, the only way it'll come in conflict with your doctors is if you actually done a whole lot of your own research.
Mm-hmm. Of course, right? You have your own opinion. You can back it up.
You got your own opinion.
You can back it up.
Now, so in my case, I was in something that I had to put my faith in them. You know what I mean? I think.
It's over your head, right?
Yeah,
Cancer's
way over
your head.
Yeah, it's like hormones would be over my head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mine too.
The only thing that ain't over my head as far as all the medical shit going on is this crap they're pushing now.
Yeah.
I got a great bullshit filter. That's what I always told my kids.
Yeah.
I said, you got to keep that bullshit filter clean.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's going to get clogged all the time.
Once you have a bullshit filter and you put it to work, you can start sniffing shit out left and right. Man. I hear you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but there comes a time when you have to just put your faith in doctors, and there has to come a time when you question their judgment. You've done your research, and I fully support you on that. Like if they had, I went, give me an example. We'll go back to cancer as an example. Okay. So I was going to St. Agnes, and over here was Johns Hopkins.
Okay.
Yeah. You've never heard of St. Agnes.
I have heard of St. Agnes. Is that a
in
Florida
Baltimore,
thing?
in Baltimore hospital.
Oh, because I'm from Baltimore. That's probably why I know what that is.
That's right.
I'm from Maryland.
Yeah. Okay, so
the only reason I know
that's
it.
right. You know St. Agnes. Okay, most of you out there don't.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. And then there's Johns Hopkins, though. Everybody knows Johns Hopkins, right?
Yes.
All right, so everybody that had this shit going on at Johns Hopkins had a radical neck dissection
Okay.
where the only lymph node that was removed from me was the one that had a 6 centimeter tumor in it.
Okay.
Standard procedure at Johns Hopkins is they do a radical neck dissection and remove like 32 lymph nodes out of your fucking neck. They just take them all because they're just assumed they're all infected with cancer.
Cancerous, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when you come out of there, I mean, look at me. I mean, you know, my neck's fucked up. All right. These guys are coming out looking like a Maryland Terrapin. You know, it's
the
bad.
fucking turtle.
Yeah, dude. I mean, mine's bad enough. You know, so thank God that, you know, because I asked my doctors about that, you know, and they're like,
Yeah.
no, we don't think you need it. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'm like, thank God.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that opinion.
Sure. But
know?
if you went to John Hopkins, they would have just
They
sliced you
probably
open.
would have said, yeah,
Right.
because, and how I know this is I went to a support group.
Okay.
And after this, and not because I was really feeling like shit, you know. I mean, it was pretty heavy, you know. But I went to the support group, and everybody there at this table, most of them had gone to Johns Hopkins, and even like the stage 2 folks and stuff had radical neck dissections. I don't know, man. It was just like they're getting kind of carried away with that shit, I thought. You know, not accusing them of anything,
Sure.
but it just seemed like there was more of a, and maybe it was more 3 and 4 stages, but there was just a lot.
Yeah.
There was a lot of radical neck dissections there, and they were very obvious.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's not hard to look back into medical history and see some fucking insane things that we've done over the year. You know, there's a meme. God, I wish I could. I'll probably try and pull it up to put it on the screen so people can see it. But the meme basically said something along the lines of like, oh, you got ghosts in your blood, you should take cocaine about it. Right? Like,
what?
Shit like that. I mean, how far back do you have
correct.
to go until that kind of mentality was
Yeah.
was the predominant force in the medical industry, right? Like, people believed fucking crazy things not very long ago.
Yeah.
So the idea now,
drill some holes in the skull to let the demons out.
right? Fuck, I mean, lobotomies and all of this
Yeah.
shit, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's no shortage.
Well, I'm not
of-
totally against lobotomies. I can think of I can think of a few people.
drill them up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're acting up, you get to go.
Yeah.
Oh man, but it's like, to me, it seems like it's not a far-fetched concept that doctors even now would have strong, valid disagreements on different types of treatments.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem that crazy at all to me.
But anyway, I got to piss, man.
Yeah, I got to piss too, actually.
Okay.
Let's take a piss break.
Let's take a piss break.
All right. Well, how was your piss with the goats? That fun?
You want me to tell you?
Tell me about your piss with the goats, man. Come
So
on.
we take our piss break, and I go out there, and I decide to go piss over there by the goats. And so I start pissing on the 4x4 at the base of the goat pen. And a couple of goats come over, of course. And I'm thinking, man, these goats are probably going to want to lap up some of this piss here. You know, being like they're, you know, my dogs would.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and so one goat gets one whiff, and he said, "Nah, I'm out of here. It must be all that vitamin D3 and zinc." And then the other goats, she or he? I don't know.
Both he's.
They're both he's.
Two boys.
Okay.
Yeah, young men.
So the gay one hangs around, you know, and he's like kind of interested in the piss, I'm thinking, but it's like he's not really trying to lap up the piss. He keeps putting his head up, and I'm like, oh, he's not trying to lap up the piss. He's trying to suck my dick. I said, oh man, like, homie, don't play that.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe he was just gonna lap up the piss.
He might. They might.
Yeah,
man. They
yeah.
might. Goats
Probably looked like a little teat on a fucking mama goat or something.
It might have.
Well, you got cameras, you'll know.
We got cameras. We check the camera to see exactly what
That
you
shit
got
you
going
got to
on with
edit,
my
though,
goats.
man. That shit you got to edit. I don't care what you edit here, but that one you got.
Man, I'll tell you, goats will surprise you. They're smart. They're fucking really smart. But they're smart in weird ways you wouldn't expect. Like in some ways, they're actually really dumb. They'll just do some shit where you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you, bro? Like they'll do things like that. Like you got.
Dude, I know a lot of people like that.
Yeah, I know people like that too. Yeah. But like for example, I got a miter saw out here, and I'm cutting these big heavy boards. Got them all propped up and fucking loud, and you know sawdust flying everywhere. Yeah. And these goats will jump up on the miter saw and try to do a backflip off of it.
Really?
Off of the table where I got the miter saw. Like they're just. So some things that they do, you're just like, God damn, you're dumb. Like, why would you come over here doing
how
all
do you
this
know
shit?
they're dumb? Maybe they're trying to help you.
By doing a backflip off of my piece of wood while I'm
How else is a goat going to help you?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's probably the best they got.
That's all they got, man. Hey, dude, check this out. I'm doing a backflip off your fucking saw.
Yeah.
Does it help? It's a morale booster for sure, right?
Yeah, it is a morale booster. It'll make you laugh.
You're out there laughing and shit when you're cutting wood, man.
Dude, working around goats is one of the funniest experiences. I'm not kidding. People think this is this might be a silly point to make, but man, it'll make you stop and pause and just like crack a smile. Like, goddamn, that was actually really funny.
Like my dogs, man.
Yeah, dogs do that for you too. It just gives you those little moments in the day where you're like, you know what? That was fucking hilarious.
They're your pets, man.
Yeah.
They're your family now.
Yeah.
Sounds like you love them.
You've got, I love those goats. They're so fun.
You do, man.
They're so fun. You've got, what do you got? Jazzy? What's the other one's name? Buttercup. Jazzy and Buttercup.
Jazzy and Buttercup. Yeah, man.
What breed are they? I can't remember.
Chihuahua.
They're both Chihuahuas.
Big Chihuahuas. They're not the
feisty little fucks. Those things.
Yeah. They're called the deer-head Chihuahuas, not the apple-head Chihuahuas.
Okay, so they're not the small list.
Yeah, the little apple heads are real small ones. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
these are the deer-head Chihuahuas.
Man, you would love this podcast I just had with this dog trainer on yesterday.
I bet I would.
It was killer, man. Smart guy.
What's the name of this podcast anyway? My daughter sent me a link to a podcast.
So the name of this podcast is All In with Adam.
Oh, okay. No, that's not the one. She sent me a link to one. But
so I have the drum podcast too.
Yeah.
That's it's bigger than this one actually, but it's all drum world.
Yeah.
So you're probably not interested in that.
Yeah, I'm not going to listen to this either, right? I hate the sound of my voice.
You hate the sound of your own voice?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so used to that. I've been recording myself for 15 years on camera now.
Man, I hear myself on a recording. I'm like, who the fuck is that?
It helps you with self-improvement a lot, I find, recording yourself, because you find things about...
How can I this be helped?
Well, you find things about your... You find that maybe you got a habit. Maybe you say some weird thing all the time, and you don't even realize you say it, and then you hear it on camera, and you go, fuck, I say that thing all the time. Too much, actually. Let me stop saying that so much. And then it helps you sort of adjust your...
if you see something like that, you adjust it for me.
I'll adjust it for you. That's
Hey, and then you can send me a text and say, dude, you say this shit way too much.
Way too much. Yeah. Hey, that happens, man.
I probably cuss too much.
Some people got a little tick sometimes. Yeah. You don't cuss too much. I cuss plenty on this podcast.
I've actually tried to contain myself.
Trying to hold it back?
Just a
little bit?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah? It's good for you. It makes them land harder when you do cuss, you know?
Yeah, you don't sound very intelligent when you cuss too much.
That's true.
Yeah.
You push too hard, yeah.
But my problem is I've been around a bunch of intelligent sailors.
Yeah.
So
you get all the cussing, but they're smart.
I'm semi-smart and I cuss a whole lot. At least I think so.
Yeah. Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. It's all good. Dude, I appreciate you coming here today, Eric. This was awesome, man. Had a great time.
Hopefully you'll find somebody out there that actually wanted to hear something I had to say.
Hey, I think we will. I think we absolutely will, man. This was a blast.
How about a fist bump?
Let's do a fist bump.
All right, man. Okay.
Love you, brother. We'll
bye, folks.
Talk to y'all soon.
My first podcast.
You killed it.
Maybe my last.
I hope not, man. I hope not.
All right, man.
All right, guys.